Everyone can write at least one good story, a belief that has brought us all here online to celebrate outstanding literary talent from our nation's writers. And so from wherever you are watching this event, thanks for joining us as we bring you the 2021 Furphy Literary Awards. Hello, I'm your host, Matt Dowling, extending a warm welcome from Shepparton in Northern Victoria, Joseph Furphy Heartland. On behalf of the Furphy Literary Awards, we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land which now comprises Greater Shepparton. We pay respect to their tribal elders, we celebrate their continuing culture, and we acknowledge the memory of their ancestors. Like last year, the Furphy Literary Awards are coming to you online as the global pandemic continues and restrictions again prevent us from meeting in person. In spite of that, the awards have yet again drawn a large number of entrants, submitting their best short story with the theme of Australian life in all its diversity. And the award partners would like to thank all those involved who have persevered through these ongoing challenges. We would also like to acknowledge everyone who features in this presentation. Of course, we were all looking forward to being in the one place, but until then, we must be grateful for modern technology and wonder what Joseph Furphy would have made of it all. Like 2020, this year the nation continues to face some of the most challenging circumstances in living memory. And we hope these literary awards have provided a challenge of a more inspiring kind. And now, please welcome Furphy Foundation Directors Adam and Sam Furphy.
Hello, and welcome to the 2021 Furphy Literary Awards. My name is Sam Furphy, and along with my cousin Adam, we are so pleased to present the Furphy Literary Awards in honour of our great-great-great-uncle Joseph Furphy and his significant contribution to Australian literature. We were looking forward to presenting the 2021 awards in person this year. However, due to the changing and unpredictable nature of COVID restrictions, our plans have changed, and so we are very pleased to present the 2021 Furphy Literary Awards as a virtual experience.
The Furphy Literary Awards celebrate the wonderful art of writing short stories. Open to all Australian citizens or residents over the age of 18, with an ongoing theme of Australian life in all of its diversity, the awards have generated a remarkable response, with over 500 entrants to this year's awards from all over the country, all competing for Australia's richest prize pool for short story writing, with $2,000 for third place, $3,000 for second place, and $15,000 for first prize, along with a residency at La Trobe University and publication in the Furphy Anthology.
We would like to acknowledge the tremendous support of the following organisations who have partnered with us to deliver these annual awards. Lion Brewing, brewers of the wonderful Furphy Refreshing Ale and Furphy Crisp Lager, have been behind these awards and the anthology all the way, and we are indebted to them for their ongoing support. La Trobe University have assisted with the provision of thinning judges to assist our open judges work their way through the large number of entries. La Trobe also provide a 2-week residency opportunity for the winning author in Shepparton, which we greatly appreciate. The Golden Valley Libraries have been associated with this award in its previous incarnation, and of course provide the Golden Valley with great reading and more through their network of libraries. And finally, the City of Greater Shepparton, who are a welcome partner, and we look forward to eventually hosting an in-person awards event in our hometown sometime in the future. Of course, the Furphy Literary Awards would not be the competition it has become without the wonderful contestants who have put their best short stories forward for judging. Thank you sincerely for your creative efforts, and of course, good luck. We would like to also acknowledge and thank our advisory board, Malcolm Eadie, Elizabeth Capp, Kevin Priest, and Melanie Holt, for your support and contribution to the direction of the Furphy Literary Awards, along with the judges of the award, some of whom you'll hear from shortly.
Finally, we'd like to acknowledge the tireless work of our competition coordinator, Robin Black. She's handled more curved balls than a baseball catcher, but she's great to work with, and we thank you sincerely for your terrific contribution. Thank you all for watching, and we hope you enjoy the presentation and the works that are being celebrated.
The Furphy Literary Awards honour the Australian author Joseph Furphy, whose major work, Such Is Life, is recognised as an Australian classic. Published in 1903, Such Is Life, like his other works, captured the Australian character and custom, life and scenery in a unique way that is rich and detailed. Joseph was born in 1843 in the Yarra Valley, where his parents, having recently emigrated from Ireland, worked on Yering Station. Educated by his mother due to the absence of a school in the district, Joseph developed a love of books from an early age, Shakespeare and the Bible being the two most available to him. As a young man, he worked in various agricultural pursuits, eventually selecting land in the Colbinaban region in Shepparton. Alas, drought and poor land got the better of him, and he established himself as a bullock driver in the Riverina district in New South Wales. It was this chapter of his life that gave him the experience and contemplations which gave rise to so much of his later writing. Drought once again visited disaster upon him in 1883, and he lost his bullocks and business and found himself in Shepparton working at his brother's foundry to support his family. Whilst the job in the foundry robbed him of his independence, it did provide the thing that was of critical use for him: time. Time to write in his small cottage at the back of the foundry under the light of a small lantern. Thus was produced Such Is Life. Upon sending the manuscript to A.G. Stevens at the Bulletin, Joseph wrote, "I have just finished writing a full-sized novel titled Such Is Life. The scene, Riverina and Northern Victoria. Temper, democratic. Bias, offensively Australian." Stevens pronounced it to be fitted to an Australian classic or semi-classic. Such Is Life sold 1,100 copies in Joseph's lifetime. A year after it was published, he moved to Fremantle, where his sons established their own foundry. He died there in 1912. Like so many creative talents, his work was admired more so after his death and has shown enduring worth. He waited 6 years for his publication, and his other works were not published until many years after his death. Today, his work remains a thoughtful and colourful insight into an earlier Australia, and the Furphy Literary Awards add to his legacy of Australian writing. And after all these years, Joseph Furphy's Such Is Life is still a powerful story of the Australian culture, which is celebrated around the nation. Now, to hold these awards, there are some important people you need, foremost among them the judges, the women and men who, in a few short months, have read through the many hundreds of entries and managed somehow to narrow it down to just a few. To that end, the Furphy Literary Awards have had the support and expertise of 6 great Australian authors. They are Anson Cameron, a regular columnist for The Age newspaper. Anson has written 6 novels, 2 collections of short stories and a memoir. He hails from Shepparton and is a great-great-great-nephew of Joseph Furphy. John Harms is a Melbourne-based writer, historian and broadcaster, and contributes to many books, journals, newspapers and magazines. Margaret Hickey is an award-winning author and playwright from northeast Victoria and a regular on ABC Local Radio. Last year, Margaret published a collection of short stories called Rural Dreams, and keep an eye out for her latest novel, Cutter's End. John Kerr is an independent writer and publisher with a background in corporate, educational and general book publishing. He spent time as a police roundsman and court reporter for a daily newspaper, and his company has published many true crime books. Thornton McCamish is a journalist, author and former editor of The Big Issue magazine. His work has won the New South Wales Premier's Douglas Stewart Prize for Non-Fiction and was shortlisted for the 2017 Prime Minister's Literary Awards. Thornton originally hails from Ardmona in Greater Shepparton in the heart of Furphy country. Fittingly, the chairman of judges is none other than John Barnes, Emeritus Professor of English at La Trobe University, where he specialised in Australian literature, and for whom Joseph Furphy is more than a passing interest. Among John's many published works was a biography of Joseph Furphy titled The Order of Things. These judges, along with the team of thinning judges generously provided by our awards partner La Trobe University, have done an amazing job in reading through the hundreds of submissions from across the country. Thank you to all 500 plus of you who submitted stories. From this, we'd like to congratulate the following writers who made the shortlist. A great achievement from all of you, and we're sure it won't be the last. And so now to the big moment, the announcement of the winner and place getters for the 2021 Furphy Literary Awards. We'll name the top 3 entrants, hear from the judges as to why their work was chosen, and then speak to the author. In third place for the 2021 Furphy Literary Award, we have Andrew Roth with his short story, No Good Deed. He is Judge John Kerr to talk about No Good Deed.
No Good Deed is a good title. Most readers know the adage, no good deed goes unpunished, made by people who try to do something nice or something kind, and all that bounds on them. Good writers let context do the work for them, and this author has used 3 words to get the work of 5 done. The story is told I of God. No me, no I, just names, he, she, her, and third person pronoun, and depends on the character of Leah. The opening line wastes no time, no words introducing her. The first time, what brought Leah back? And here we see the cunning of the author's hand at work. In 3 paragraphs, we find out Leah has baked a cake, carrot cake, and is cleaning the baking tray in the kitchen sink. Her actions are at odds with her opinions. Quote, amateur baking was a waste of time and materials, and the washing up was the cleaner's job. But the kicker is that she remembers nothing about making, a decision to bake a cake, choosing a recipe, the ingredients, anything about cake making at all. With craft, the author has her figure out the icing must have been cream cheese. The fact of the half-used tub of cream cheese in the fridge confirming it in the manner of a detective at a crime scene, or an archaeologist at a dig or a rock-faced wall. Everyone likes a riddle, a mystery, an enigma. And this one is getting fascinatingly real. No resolution, move on. The 4th paragraph opens, a 2nd episode happened. Somehow, she finds herself on all 4s in a creek bed. And the last thing she can remember was drinking Punangwa with her Sunday tennis friends courtside. Then her inbox reveals the thanks of a bushfire animal charity for the $15,000 donation that she has no memory of making. We learn Leah couldn't give a toss about bushfires, animals, or charities. She is, understandably enough, deeply concerned with herself and this new on and off again behaviour and memory lapses. Her priority is not wanting a word of it to get out. The author breaks to recap how Leah got to this point, her brilliant career as a corporate archaeologist for hire, money, how she learned to read a room, her preference for field work in camp in the country over the terrifying prospect of dusty, boring museum work. The other, very different recap is done in action when Leah visits the woman she calls the old chook. That's her mother. All I've revealed about the plot stops here. The deft economy of No Good Deeds writing up to this point is only the start, a quarter of the way through the story. The author changes gear here. Has to, because a search begins. And we get deep into Leah's way of thinking, her search. So the gear change is for an uphill, rough road. The ambition of the author, who I now understand is Andrew Roth, is admirable. Leah is a complex character, and while the minor characters she meets are well sketched, they are always minor. Leah is the story's focus, and it's intense. At one extreme, there's a touch of the Karen about her, and she's impossible to fully like. But we not only understand the action reactions that made her, we see her changing and learning. Highly recommended.
Andrew Rolfe, it's Matt Dowling from MC of the Furphy Literary Awards. How are you going?
G'day, Matt. I'm stoked to be here. So yeah, really good.
Well, we're stoked to have you, and I'm here to tell you that of the more than 500 entries that were submitted for the Furphy Literary Award National Short Story Competition, you have placed third for your short story, No Good Deed. Congratulations.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, that's I'm over the moon. That's really great.
In Olympic terms, you're on the dais, of course. You know.
Hey, yeah, that's right. I've been watching a lot of Olympics, and yeah, happy to be up there and have the flag raised and all that. So
all right. Tell us a little about the short story you submitted, and I know you're no stranger to writing a good short story. No Good Deed. What's it about?
Yeah, so No Good Deed is about an archaeologist named Leah, and she works mainly as a consulting archaeologist for a bunch of big mining companies, helping them get permits to dig and blast in places where there might be some cultural heritage. So she feels a bit conflicted about that, and at the same time, she's experiencing these episodes where she kind of blacks out for a while, and when she comes to again, she realizes she's committed these acts of kindness, and so the story's her search for an explanation about why she's doing these good things despite her best efforts not to do them. So yeah.
When you're writing a short story, what's the key to you, or what's the? Or I don't know if I want to ask you what the secret is. You might not want to tell us, but what's the key? What did you think is the key to writing a good short story?
Look, if I knew the secret, I'd definitely keep it to myself. I think you've got to find an idea or a concept that works on a structural story level, but also kind of engages your emotions and has that emotional hook, because you can tell a great story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, but unless there's some sort of deeper resonance, then it can feel a bit hollow. So you've got to have that plot and emotional resonance both working in the same direction, I think.
You're based in Adelaide. Can you tell us sort of how your literary journey began in terms of, I suppose, growing up and then turning this into, a career?
Yeah, so I think growing up I was always a voracious reader, and I was a big science fiction nerd in my youth. So, you know, always around books, always interested in writing, but it was really only probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I was living in Tokyo, actually in Japan, feeling a bit homesick, and I wrote a novel manuscript set back in Adelaide, and that was really my first foray into writing. I didn't really know what I was doing. It was probably, in hindsight, not the best novel ever written, but that really sparked something where I realised I wanted to be doing this seriously. So I enrolled in a bunch of courses, read as a writer to try and work out what techniques other writers were using, and short stories were a great way of practicing that craft, and making some mistakes, learning from them, and getting better and better. So I've been doing that sort of pretty consistently for maybe the last 4 or 5 years.
And doing it pretty well from what I can gather. I had a look at your website. I believe you're the winner of the 2020 Peter Carey Short Story Award for your story Bok Bok, and the 2018 Margaret River Press Short Story Competition for your story Pig Face. And I understand you've also got a short story collection you're about to publish, am I right?
I do. That's very exciting. So that should be coming out early next year with Wakefield Press. Look, I've probably written upwards of 50 stories over the last few years. Of those, maybe 20 have been published, and I've been lucky to sort of to win or place in a few competitions. And the great thing about writing competitions like the Furphy, but also the other competitions you've named is writing can feel very lonely when you're doing it, when you're submitting stories to journals. It can be a 6-month wait to hear anything back, and usually it's a form response that says, better luck next time, try again. So when you get that kind of validation, it's fantastic. And if it also involves publication, then so much the better, because if anybody reads anything you've written, it's a victory. So yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you what do you think the Furphy Literary Award and the National Short Story Competition, what it means for aspiring authors, but I guess you probably kind of answered that in a way. It's that affirmation, I guess.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I think there's a sort of plan to have an anthology published, off the back of this competition, and that's always wonderful to kind of be in a collection with a bunch of other short story writers, and you get to read what other people are doing, and it feels like a bit of a community out of that. So that's what I really like. But I think also the kind of history behind this particular competition with the Furphy family and Tom Collins, and is just provides that extra little bit of meaning as well.
All right. Well, you're in good company amongst our winners and place getters today, and they're in good company with you as well, Andrew Roff. So congratulations on placing third in the National Short Story Competition for the Furphy Literary Awards, and thanks for chatting to us.
Thanks very much, Matt. Cheers.
In second place for the 2021 Furphy Literary Award, we have Michelle Prack with her short story Holden. Here's Judge Marg Hickey to talk about Holden.
Holden is a story that is skillfully written in second-person present tense, which is not an easy thing to do. It's the story of families, the furry type and the dysfunctional human type, and characters that we all know and can relate to. There's a kind of creeping dread as you read this story, and as we look from the point of view of the young 14-year-old protagonist, as she negotiates her way through new relationships, life, and the connections with her younger sister, her mother, and those that surround the household. There's beautiful parts in this story too that I found myself really catching hold on to. The feeling of a new kitten, that walking on hot bitumen at night, and the springings of new love. These things are really hopeful, beautiful little parts of the story that give life and spring hope to all of the story that's in Holden. There's, of course, the comfort of the old Holden itself, that car, that quintessential Australian car that was so clever of this author to put in for the Furphy Literature Prize. It's something we can probably all relate to. I think this story is structured so beautifully. The first part, there's this questions, there's a feelings of questions. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever done this? That sort of thing. And this third person omniscient, this kind of omniscient present point of view which creeps in at the very start, and then we're brought into the life of this new young girl. I thought this was a skillful story, beautifully structured, and well deserving of its place in the shortlist in the Furphy Literature Prize 2021.
Michelle Prack, it's Matt Dowling here, MC of the Furphy Literary Awards. How are you going?
Really well, Matt.
It's lovely to chat to you, and my job as MC is to tell you that from the more than 500 entries around Australia for the Furphy Literary Award, the National Short Story Competition, you have been named runner-up for your short story Holden. So congratulations on that achievement, and then the $3,000 prize money that goes with it.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic news. That's really wonderful. I'm really pleased to hear.
Can you tell us a little bit about the story that you wrote, Holden?
Yes, I can. So it focuses on a young girl and a Holden. Spoiler alert. So it is about that quintessential Australian car that happens to be a big part of her life. It's an old Holden that's left in her backyard. Yeah, it's something that I worked on for a long time, so I'm really, really pleased that it's been recognised in these awards.
Was there anything in particular that inspired you with the storyline itself, that you drew from life?
I was inspired by the Furphy Awards description of being about some aspect of Australian life, because I think what the character goes through and the kind of childhood she has is something that we don't see represented in a lot of media or you know, stories, TV and movies and so on. And so I really wanted to get into that aspect of someone who might be come from a more difficult background, and how, you know, a lot of Australians do have similar backgrounds, or they live in poverty, but yeah, we don't often see that explored in popular culture.
What's the secret, do you think, to writing a good short story?
Oh gosh, I think I'm still learning, but this is a good encouragement. I think it has to ideally have the same sort of peaks and rhythm that a good novel will have, in that there's an enticing opening, there is a sort of crescendo, or you know, when a sort of a dramatic point, and then a satisfying resolution. You just have to do it in a few thousand words.
You are. You also have written novels as well. I gather. Do you have a preference between the two genres?
I would like to stick to novels, but I've had a focus in the last year on writing more short stories as well, just to, I guess that's another way to practice and work on your craft, but also get recognition like this, because we know how competitive writing is. So, you know, in the future, when I have another novel in good shape and I'd like to pitch it, I think it's really good to have some runs on the board in terms of short stories.
I checked out your website, and I liked your self-deprecating sense of humour. You said you're a writer of many unpublished manuscripts, half-baked short stories released on Medium far too early, thousands of tweets, and scrappy shopping lists.
Yeah, I think you know, we can't forget our failures. If you put a lot of hours into writing, no matter what happened with that writing, it's worth spruiking.
And I liked your little anecdote, or just that the mention of your dad. He bought you a typewriter, which got you going.
Absolutely. So obviously that was decades ago when typewriters were still in use. But he knew that I was really interested in writing, that they were in the primary school years. And yeah, just having that typewriter made me feel so professional. And yeah, it was fantastic, really inspiring.
The Furphy Literary Award, it's now in its second year, the National Short Story Competition. What do you think it means for aspiring authors?
It's another opportunity and a lot of encouragement. So I think awards like this are fabulous, and especially in an era now over the last year or so where artists might have had less opportunity to have their work shared. It means a lot to know that when you write something, it is making sense, that it resonates with some readers. So yeah, I'm really grateful and thankful to the organisers for putting this on. It's really encouraging.
Well, Michelle, your story, Holden, certainly must have resonated with the judges, and thank you once again for being part of the Furphy Literary Award National Short Story Competition, and congratulations again on being runner-up.
Thank you so much, and congratulations to everyone on the shortlist.
And so now to the winner of the 2021 Furphy Literary Award and its $15,000 first prize. And it's congratulations to Thomas Allen for his short story, Oranges. And here's Judge Anson Cameron to talk about Oranges.
Oranges is a story awash with anger. And a lot of stories are polite or muted as though the writer is on their first day at work and embarrassed to be themselves yet. But the protagonist in Oranges, Dale Walsh, isn't polite. He's prepared to vent. So Oranges is at once a rant at life in a small town and a lament as Dale Walsh, a sort of Bogan Holden Caulfield, realises he has to leave. The story also has a compelling ambiguity at its core. Did this kid do the thing he's reviled for or not? Even he doesn't know, or if he does, he's not letting on. And I like that. Too many stories have a saint at their centre, and saints in real life are pretty thin on the ground. But this story is real. It's got a muddied protagonist at its centre. Tenby, the town in this story, has everyone trapped and gasping for breath. And this kid sees it for the hole that it is, and he knows the rest of it, the world, is his if he's brave enough to escape. It has the mood of a Springsteen song. It's Jason Isbell's Speed Trap Town, but set in Australia. Through the unfolding drama of a football game, Dale Walsh dissects the town and realises that to stay here is to fulfil a fate as banal as the place is. His mate has a battered face, having been beaten up by his father, and Dale wonders that if he stays in the town, will he end up beating his kids one day? So far, so good. There are plenty of get me out of here rants that turn up in literary competitions, though small town life isn't usually so microscopically observed as it is here. But it must be said, small towns and large cancers are the two themes du jour in Australian short stories. But unexpectedly in Oranges, there is a deft half-scene redemption nearing the climax of the story. And you can believe what you want to believe here, as you can in most great tales. But to this reader, it seems like the kid faces up to this mess as his own. His mate is being bashed and he's done nothing to help. And knowing this, we can guess now that he watched a woman drowning and did nothing to help her. So what's he going to do about his friend? I get the feeling, after all his profane denunciation of Tenby, he's not going anywhere. He's going to fight. And we've heard enough of Dale Walsh's inner anger to know that he won't go down easily. So, well done to the writer of Oranges, Tom. It's a fine story. It's ragged and it's urgent and wise all at once. Beautifully rendered small town dystopia. Well done, Tom. Congratulations.
Thomas Allen, it's Matt Dowling, MC of the Furphy Literary Awards. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You excited? You nervous?
Oh, very nervous. Incredibly nervous. I've never done anything like this before, so yeah, out of my depth.
Well, it is my job as MC to tell you that from more than 500 entries around Australia, you have won the Furphy Literary Prize, our national short story competition for your story, Oranges. Congratulations.
Like first place?
First place, $15,000.
All right.
I would ask you how you feel, but I gather speechless might be a good word
Yeah,
at
no, I
this
wasn't
time.
expecting that. I wasn't expecting that. Oh my goodness. I wasn't expecting that at all. Thank you very much. No, I appreciate it. I'm bewildered. I didn't expect that at all.
Okay, what were you expecting?
I was surprised I got shortlisted. I was over the moon at that. And that's as far as I thought I was ever going to get. So this is ridiculous.
Well, I'll give you a little moment to let it sink in. What's happened? Winning the Furphy Literary Award, a national short story competition, as I said. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about Oranges, the story that you wrote, and what it's about, and what inspired it.
Yeah, of course. So Oranges is a story about an asshole, about this real shitty kid who is kind of angry at the world he's in, kind of trying he's not trying his best to do anything. He's really reactive to everything around him. And it's kind of this story about does he realize the issues within himself, or is he just going to continue to project them outwardly onto other people and all that sort of thing? But it's all about that. It comes into a footy match at one stage. It's a bit where in the surf, it goes all over the place, but that's the core message of the story. Yeah.
Well, it's a story that's obviously impressed the judges. You've won the competition. For you, what were you looking for in writing a short story? To you, what's the key to writing a good short story? You can answer that now because you know you've won first prize.
No, not at all. I mean, okay, so I've had a little bit of success the last year. I've written a couple of short stories that have been picked up for various things. I was runner-up in the Queensland Short Story Award a little while back, which was also set in the same fictitious town called Tenby. I don't know the secret to what I'm doing right. I'm just enjoying myself, telling stories that sort of resonate with my own formative years, my own years growing up. I try and look at emotions I had, and as an adult kind of come to them and be like, oh, this is what was wrong with them, and just add some flavour and try and make it entertaining as well.
Tell us about your literary journey. You live up at Carney Springs, which is Toowoomba, I believe, in Queensland.
Yeah. Well, I've recently just moved out of Carney Springs, but I'm still in Toowoomba. I'm actually a Gold Coast boy, so I've only been in Toowoomba for about a year. So yeah, I grew up on the Gold Coast, and I went to uni. Well, I was in high school, went to uni, did a carpentry apprenticeship. So I spent a lot of my last few years doing building and all that sort of stuff, and I've recently moved to Toowoomba with my partner, just looking at some different avenues now.
Wow, carpentry, building, and then all of a sudden you're writing award-winning short stories. Where did that transition happen? How did that happen?
I've been writing since I was in high school, so I've just been pottering around, and so in the last year or so something's kind of come along. I remember the first thing that happened was I submitted 2 short stories to the Slinkies competition, and they picked those up, which was just fantastic. They've turned those into an audio book, which is crazy. And then I received, the Young Writers runner-up, and now this, and I'm shocked by all of it. I'm still trying to find words. Sorry.
Can you find the words to tell us what winning the Furphy Literary Award, the short story prize, means to you, or what it could mean for you in terms of your career?
Oh man, I can get my car window fixed. That's what I'm thinking at the moment.
Yeah.
The regulator's stuffed up on that. No,
it obviously was something on a resume. I mean, it's good for a CV, isn't it? It's.
I suppose so. I think more than anything, it gives me a bit of confidence in my own writing and my own ability, which is something I think a lot of writers kind of struggle with. I am particularly harsh on my own work, and so just hearing this is it's fantastic. I can't get over it.
So for you, you see writing as being your full-time career now? Is this what you want
I mean, I'm going to keep writing. If something happens, it happens. Like you can't expect anything in life. I reckon you go with whatever's making you happy at the time, and just if opportunities prevail themselves, you go with it.
Now, as part of this prize too, you get a residency at La Trobe University Shepparton campus, which means you get to spend some time down in Shepparton in Furphy heartland. I'm wondering if you've been to Shepparton before.
I have. So back in the day when I was growing up, some family friends of ours used to run. I forget what it's called. It's one of the motels down there. It looks like a castle. I think it's the Bell Tower Inn. Is that what it is?
You've got that right.
Yeah. Okay. So we grew up in the little bell tower there. So we used to climb up into the crow's nest and jump around there. And I remember Shepparton. I love Shepparton.
Well, you'll be looking forward to coming back then and paying us a visit again as part of winning the National Short Story Competition.
Oh, definitely. For sure, I cannot wait.
How are you going to celebrate winning the award?
I'm gonna, I don't know, I'll probably go buy some alcohol and have a nice night with my partner, and I don't know, celebrate with some friends or something low key in this COVID times, But just, I don't know. Oh, I'm so excited. I've got no words. I've got no plans. I didn't plan for this. This is crazy.
Well, it's happened, and you are a deserved winner, Thomas Allen, of the Furphy Literary Award Short Story Competition, and with it that $15,000 first prize, and I'm sure it will be the first among many of impressive additions to your resume, your writing CV. And we look forward to seeing what might come next from you on that front. And again, congratulations and thanks for joining us. Anything else you want to say before we leave you today?
I just want to thank everyone at the Furphys foremost. I mean, without them, none of this could have happened. It's just fantastic. I want to thank all my friends who've helped me out. My family have always been supportive, and just my partner, Sonny. Like, I really appreciate everyone, and I'm just so lucky. I'm just so grateful and appreciative. So yeah, this is insane.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks again for putting in your entry, and congratulations, and enjoy the victory, Thomas Allen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And so congratulations to our winner, Thomas Allen, all our finalists, and everyone who submitted a short story for the Furphy Literary Awards. That brings us to the end of this presentation, but don't forget, the details of the winners and finalists will be available later on this website, and the work of all finalists will be published as well. I'm Matt Dowling. Thanks for joining us. Keep well, keep reading, and most importantly, keep writing. Goodbye.